Hiya crafty folks, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I'm going to make a dad batch of Father's Day cards. Now I have a smattering of new stencils. These are all part of the June release at a Colorful Life Designs. I will link everything in the video description box below. If you expand and scroll down, you'll find those details. But if you do shop for anything at a Colorful Life Designs, do be sure to use my coupon AMYFAN10 at checkout. Now here are the 4 cards that I'm going to make. These are for all my dads in my life. I have one for my dad, one for my husband, one for my father-in-law, and one for my husband's grandpa. So he is our last remaining grandpa, sadly, but I'm kind of customizing these to each of them, and I will kind of show you my process as I move along. So I'm picking a very limited color palette for these 4 cards. As you can see, I have Juniper Mist, Orange Peel, I forgot what the gray one was. Yeah, and that's about it. I'm just using grays and oranges and blues for this. But to start, I have this really cool layered tools stencil. I'm starting with this first layer and I'm using gray, and I'm kind of deliberately creating a little bit of a faux highlight. And I'm doing that by going heavier handed in spots and lighter handed in others. And I feel like that gives it a little bit of a metallic look, even though it's just the one color of gray. And then I will additionally come in with a white gel pen and add some highlights, and that really takes it to the next level. So this was super easy to line up. I'm just putting that second layer down, and then I'm going to come in with that orange peel color, because I don't know, in my mind I feel like I can picture, I don't know, like an orange handled screwdriver or pliers or things like that. So those are the colors that I chose, but of course customize this to suit your fancy. But I'm, like I said, keeping it simple with this color palette, partially out of laziness and partially just because I think these colors look kind of cool together. On one of the cards I do end up bringing in with an olive as well, so that will be kind of the 4th color that I use. But how fun is this? I feel like this is so cool for any handy person in your life, male or female. And this one I just love, this Love You Dad. This one that I'm putting together is going to be for my dad. So I'm just masking off the heart here because I do want to do that a different color. And then I'm going to come in with that Juniper Mist, Juniper Mist, which is a really dark navy, and go over these this built-in sentiment. So I absolutely love when Mary Kay at the shop does stencils with a sentiment on them, because then you don't have to search through your stamps if you don't want to, and you can really just kind of mix and match and create a fun card with the sentiment built in. Now this is a little bit fiddly, and I do tend to be a little rough with my ink blending, so that's why I'm holding down these little inner pieces, just because I don't want it to shift if I'm ink blending too rough, which y'all know I often do, coming at it like a lumberjack. So here I'm using this, I think it's a Zig. It's supposed to be like a blending brush, but I'm actually using it just to pick up some ink directly from my ink pad and kind of fill in those little spots where those connection points were on the stencil. I actually want it to be solid. So this is the way that I'm doing it. You could also do this with possibly a water brush, so it would kind of activate the ink, or maybe even like a little tiny blending foam if you have one of those. But again, I'm just using this little blending marker just to kind of fill in those spots. Now I'm going to put the stencil back down after I cleaned it, and then I'm going to fill in just the heart in orange because I want that to be a different color. I thought that was cute. Now if I were to do this again, I would be a little bit more mindful on where the second layer, like where the handles to all the tools are, or maybe I would have done the heart a different color, like maybe a little bit more red, because you'll see when I do the handles, it does kind of line up with the orange heart, and it's not my favorite. So I would kind of make it a different color, or maybe I would just kind of mask off and maybe not do as much of the ink blending. But again, in this limited space, I wanted to showcase as much of the tools as I could. So hindsight is 20/20, right? I would do it a little bit differently, but ultimately I'm still pleased with how it turned out. So now I'm coming in, again, I'm going a little heavier handed around the edges of the letters, like around the vignette of the card, and then trying to go a little bit lighter handed with the orange in the center, and with the gray in the center, just so it doesn't take away too much from the actual sentiment, the love you dad. So here you can see what I'm talking about, the little bit of orange of that one handle underneath the heart. But it's okay. Wasn't my favorite, but it worked out fine. I think it's still pretty clear that it's a heart in the center and not a huge deal. So here I'm done with this portion. Now I am going to keep moving on here, but I do have my white gel pen, and I'm just going to put some highlights and some little dots and stuff on some of the letters just to add some visual interest. Obviously, this is an optional step, and my gel pen is not cooperating. I don't know what it is, but every gel pen in my stash is causing me problems. None of them are wanting to cooperate. So either way, I got it working, and I will move on to the next step eventually. I noticed a little smudge, so I'm using my sand eraser just to kind of clean that up, and then I will move on eventually here to the next stencil. So I'm kind of doing all the ink blending first, and then I will kind of cut down the panels and figure out what other components, or if I'm going to do anything else to the inside of the card or to the border and things like that. So I'm just kind of working in these steps. So when you're batching, just kind of do, you know, maybe all your ink blending at once and then move on to the next step. So it's a way to just save time rather than just bouncing back and forth. Now this one is actually called Gears. This one is actually for my husband for Father's Day. All the guys in my life are pretty handy, mechanically or engineer or building wise. My husband is an engineer, so I thought this Gears one was kind of cool for him. So I decided to use the gray color, and then I'm also going to bring in with an olive because it's just kind of cool, and I feel like he would like these colors. So I did decide to bring in a darker gray. I can't remember which one this was, but I wanted to really create, slate. That was the darker gray. I wanted to create a little bit of a variance in color, just again to give that metallic feel. And then I'm going to bring in that with an olive green on the edges. So this is the fourth color that I'm kind of bringing into the color palette, and I will use all of them on the next panel here. Now this one I think is called Barbecue Party. Again, if I've said any of the names wrong, be sure to check below the video. I'll have everything linked that I use. But this one, you could be precious about it and kind of mask off with, you know, Post-it tape or mint tape, but I'm just kind of willy-nilly going in, just using the edge of my blending brushes and using again those same colors. So I have the orange for the flame, and for the shish kebab or whatever's on here, and the pepper, and then I'm just using kind of light gray on the things that would be white. So again, you could use more colors here, but I'm just really wanting to stick with these limited colors just because it's fun and it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. So you can absolutely bring in every single color for, you know, the hot dog and the burger and all these things, but I just thought it was kind of fun just sticking with this limited palette. And that's a fun way to do it too, maybe if you don't have a lot of ink colors in your stash, or if you maybe have trouble and you kind of get paralyzed with choices, maybe just kind of keep it limited on purpose and see what you can create. Because I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Even though some of the colors aren't accurate, I just thought it was really fun. And even though some of the colors blended over, it was totally okay. So again, I'm using that white gel pen to put some highlights on kind of the glassy or metallic areas, and then also to just kind of draw some interest and some like cross-hatching lines on the mitt as well as the apron. So this one I think is going to be for my father-in-law, and then I'll do the love you dad for my dad, and the one with the just straight up tools for grandpa, and the gears for my hubby. So I've got these 4 panels. I did decide to cut them down with the wonky stitched edge die from MFT, and then also a regular stitched die from Paper Rose. I have these 2 really big giant dies from Lawn Fun, and some simple strips from Tailored Expressions. That storage box is also from Tailored Expressions. Super fun, one of my favorite things in my crafty stash. Again, I'll link everything below. If you follow my links, it's no additional cost to you. Here's the one for my husband. It says, "Hooray, Happy Father's Day." And I did continue that Gears design onto the inside of the card. This one for my father-in-law, it says, "Happy Dad's Day." And I did ink blender on the edge just to create that matching border. This one's for Chief, or Grandpa. We call him Chief. And then this one is for my dad. So super fun. I'm glad to have these ready to go for June. And I did continue the inside of the card with that same design. So thank you so much for spending time with me. Be sure to check out the rest of the June release. There's so many amazing stencils, and be sure to use my coupon AmyFan10. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.